Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rising. So much going on today. First of all, happy Halloween. We've got a special spooky show for you. Just kidding. It's just a normal show. Also, congratulations to the Nats on winning and also garnering probably more media attention since they're DC-based than any other team in history.
Hometown team. We're very proud of them.
What are we doing today in the show, Sagar?
Well, we have an amazing show for everybody today. We have Congressman Jim Banks. He's stopping by to talk a little bit about impeachment. We have Nathan Robinson of Current Affairs. He's going to talk about Elizabeth Warren versus Bernie Sanders. He's a very interesting man. And of course, Michael Brooks. He's going to be talking about the uprisings in Chile and in Lebanon. I'm particularly interested in that one.
Yeah, he's been following that closely, and it's something that the media has really undercovered, especially those folks who have the resources, the international resources to be on top of it. You've got these global uprisings everywhere and barely a mention. At the same time, there's a big kind of milestone, I guess, in the impeachment inquiry today. There will be an official House vote on the procedures which will be used in this impeachment inquiry. This is something that Republicans basically pushed Democrats into, and, you know, not to get too much into the nitty-gritty here, but basically Adam Schiff will be running, from the House Intelligence Committee, will be running the hearings. Him and Devin Nunes will have the most power, the most questioning abilities, et cetera. Republicans will be able to request subpoenas, but they have to be approved by the majority, so Democrats will still have a lot of control here. Sagar, is this going to quiet Republican criticisms of the process?
Well, what happened? What was that last part that you just mentioned? The majority has to approve the subpoena, which means that, you know, subpoenas for Hunter Biden and subpoenas for any of these other related characters are probably not going to be out. I mean, I don't think it will quiet the process ultimately. But again, I mean, we talk about this. All of Washington, the entire Washington press corps is camped out outside that hearing room. Literally, right before I was coming on the show, tweeting photos of members coming in and out. Yeah. And it's just like this facile circus. Like, it's just because we all know what's going to happen, right? Like, we all ultimately know. We ultimately know what's going to happen in this thing. And so it's just like the entire concentrated resources of our national media just focus on, you know, who's going to testify today or not, these transcripts. I think it's ridiculous.
We're going to talk about this later in the show as well, but friend of the show, Kyle Kulinski, was on with Joe Rogan. He was talking about impeachment. And look, he's a progressive like me. And his argument is basically like, Democrats chose the lamest possible impeachment argument you could possibly make, right? The one that also implicates their own people with this. Because look, people can look at this and go, yeah, what the president did was not okay. Like, we're not cool with that. But also, what's going on with Hunter Biden? We're not cool with that either. And so you can't run around pretending like nothing to see here, but also moralizing on corruption. It just doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, the outcome is not really in doubt. I know people kind of pushed back when we said that earlier in the week.
I mean,
but it's just the reality. Look, this is a political process, and Republicans are firmly behind. I'm not talking about Republicans in D.C. I'm talking about Republicans out in the country are firmly behind this president. Look what happens when any one of them in Congress comes out and says, look, I'm not sure that this was okay. I might support an impeachment inquiry. Then they retire the next day.
It's like you're going to get hit with a primary challenge so fast, you know, you wouldn't be asleep by the time that gets announced against you. And that's because, I mean, a lot of these Republican voters look at this as an existential threat against Trump. And I think they're actually right, which is it is a coordinated campaign between the intelligence community, and there was an obvious person with an axe to grind in the national security bureaucracy. They coordinated a lot of this before it came out. And so many of these people are best friends with the mainstream media. And it's just like, it's like a little cadre of people who are ultimately trying to impeach the president a year before the election.
Well, and here's
There's
the other
an election.
thing. Democrats have become, and the media also are like the boy that cried wolf. Because every day it was like, this was the worst thing that's ever happened to the Republic. This is the worst. No, this is the worst thing that ever happened to the Republic. Rather than picking and choosing, look, in my view, this president has done incredibly harmful, damaging things to our own country, to our state around the world, et cetera. But this phone call with Ukraine, where ultimately, what was the end result ultimately? They still got their frickin' military aid.
Yeah, right.
Right? You know, like, I mean, at the end of the day, are people really going to believe that a president should be impeached because of this sacrosanct principle of military aid to Ukraine?
If you hold the view that somebody's done harmful things, you can make that case in a much more eloquent fashion called an election. You get to litigate all of these things during an election.
Right.
Trying to go over this Ukraine phone call, I mean, just like...
And especially waiting till this time to move forward with impeachment, where now it really directly interferes with candidates who are in the Senate, ability to campaign, ability to make the case on the issues, which even on the Democratic side, people are much more more concerned about healthcare and the environment and climate change than they are specifically about impeachment.
Exactly.
So anyway, that's what's happening today. We're going to tell you what's on our radars next.